Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, we hear from the mother of a Victoria man who went missing as a teen.
A Calhoun County resident is given a trespass warning after speaking at a recent school board meeting.
Plus, an agenda mistake derails conversations about a major Goliad County position and a new law enforcement appointment.
Well, we had plenty of sunshine and things are looking good for tomorrow. The only problem is tonight we're going to get some thick fog to deal with in the early morning hours. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And Currie women's basketball is ready to make history tomorrow night versus the Bridge City Cards in Katy, Texas. We'll highlight this game coming up.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Don Brubaker.
The Goliad County Commissioner's plan to adopt a new constable is delayed after the meeting is canceled today.
25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting joins us to give us the court's agenda. Trenton?
Don, Shawna, thank you. After finding they were in violation of the Open Meetings Act, the commissioners immediately shut down any further discussion. They did not post the agenda online 72 hours in advance, despite posting the physical notice on time. State law says the notice of a government meeting must be posted somewhere that's always available to residents for at least 72 hours before the meeting's scheduled time. The online agenda must be posted at the same time as the physical copy. The commissioners plan to discuss the potential elimination of the county's audit position and to appoint a new constable for Precinct 1 after Kevin Story's resignation on February 7th. Lifetime Goliad resident Daniel San Miguel is one officer trying to throw his name in the hat.
I grew up here. The only time I had been in Goliad's when I was serving in the Army. The love of my community is what is really pushing me to take this position or want this position. I love my town.
All of this follows a resolution by the Commissioners Court to eliminate one of the two constable positions. State Rep A.J. Lauterbach contested the resolution with a letter to Goliad County Judge Mike Bennett. The court hasn't yet decided when the new meeting will make the schedule. Shawna, Don, back to you.
Trenton, thank you. A man speaking out at Calhoun County School Board meetings is served with a trespass warning. Port Lavaca resident Gary Jackson was issued the warning after speaking twice during public comment at Calhoun County School Board meetings. Jackson spoke about wanting a book regarding 9/11 added to the school library. November was the second time Jackson spoke at a school board meeting on the topic. School officials claimed Jackson was being disruptive and was issued a warning by the police chief.
I want every school, I'm starting with my hometown, to bring this awareness.
Jackson says he's very passionate about physics and wants children of Calhoun County ISD to gain that same knowledge. We reached out to the Calhoun County ISD superintendent and have not yet received a response.
This brings us to our viewer poll tonight. Should school districts be allowed to issue trespass notices to members of the public? Yes, but with an annual review of that trespass notice, or no. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And we appreciate everyone who has voted. And here's a look. So the outright yeses have gone down a couple percentage points from our 6 p.m. newscast. But still, good number of people who feel that yes, but if it's reviewed annually. So if you haven't voted yet, continue voting, and thank you to everyone who has. The city of Seadrift is under a boil water notice. The city shut off water for several hours today to fix 2 leaks. Now that it's back on, residents should boil their water until the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality gives the all clear. This comes just weeks after Seadrift spent nearly a month under a boil water notice due to low water pressure. That order was finally lifted on February 7th. And 2 candidates in Seadrift's May elections have dropped out of their races. According to a post from the city's Facebook page, Randall Kane withdrew from the city council race and Elmer DeForest stepped out of the mayoral special election. That leaves Lori Stafford Thomas running unopposed for mayor. This was announced along with the results of a drawing that determined the order of names that would appear on the May ballot.
All right. And our next story concerns a Port Lavaca woman who was arrested last night. We're getting more information now. She's facing charges after leading police in a chase and crashing. Victoria police responded to reports of an intoxicated driver Sunday night. They spotted the vehicle on Highway 185 near U.S. Highway 59 and tried to stop the driver. Police say the driver fled toward Bloomington before crashing on Good Street. Police arrested 37-year-old Marquita Cuellar for evading arrest with a vehicle and driving while intoxicated. A local woman says she visited the Victoria County Courthouse a few weeks ago and it was not at all what she expected. Dee Pollock wanted to find out if county employees received First Amendment training. Instead, this video shows she was met with by Judge Ben Zeller, who told her the office was closed and he shut the door. Today, Pollock spoke before county commissioners asking for more respect next time she visits.
They are county officials. They're paid to be there. They should be glad that we are asking questions of the government. How are you ever going to find out what's right and wrong unless the people ask the questions?
Pollock claims her foot was hurt in the incident. The Victoria County Sheriff's Office says Pollock did file a report, but after reviewing it, authorities decided there was not enough evidence to move forward. Judge Zeller did not release a statement and referred to a county spokesperson.
5 years after Jeremy Vasquez disappeared, his mother breaks her silence, sharing her pain and the questions that still remain.
25 News Now's Amaya Norman joins us with more. Amaya?
Yes, Shawna and Dawn, thank you. On what seemed like an ordinary morning turned into a nightmare. Jeremy Vasquez was supposed to head to school. However, after waking up to an argument between his father and stepmother, Jeremy, tired and frustrated, decided to stay home. Later that morning, he and his stepmother had a disagreement, prompting Jeremy to leave the house for a walk along with his dog. Hours passed, and while the family dog returned home, Jeremy did not. His sudden disappearance left his family shocked and searching for answers. We spoke with Jeremy's mother, who shared her heartbreak and lingering questions.
When I got out, I looked for him. He had barely been missing for like 2 weeks, prior to that. And so I looked for him at his, some of his friends' house, some just asking for him, and on Facebook, on Instagram.
Since that day, the family has contacted local authorities. However, the mother expresses that they treated the case as if Jeremy was a runaway, even though he had never ran away from home. His family continues to hold on to hope and urge anyone with information to come forward. He was last seen wearing a white shirt, red hoodie, and black pants, according to authorities. If you have any information regarding Jeremy Vasquez's disappearance, you are encouraged to contact Victoria Police or the National Centers for Missing Exploited Children. Dawn and Shawna, back to you.
All right, well, time to check on our weather now. Cooled off a little bit this evening from earlier today, but picture perfect day.
If you're a golfer, you could play 18 to 36 holes. I don't know. Mac Pettis, are you much of a golfer?
I know. I play 9 holes and then I go to the clubhouse. That's it. I'm going 10, 11, 12. No, thank you very much. I had enough for the day. But if you're that kind of golfer that wants to do the 18 holes tomorrow, it's going to be awesome. Only problem is that tomorrow morning we're going to have some fog to deal with. But look at these temperatures, mid 70s to mid 80s. And wasn't it Friday that we had winter? We'll be talking about your week's weather coming up in a moment.
A Corpus Christi man is arrested accused of planning a mass casualty event. The FBI says Corpus Christi police arrested 21-year-old Seth Andrea Grigori on a terroristic threats on a public servant warrant. The FBI claims Grigori made threats against Corpus Christi police officers. Officials say Grigori planned his attack on police that was similar to the 2016 Dallas police ambush that left 5 police officers dead and 9 wounded.
A small plane crashed in North Texas today. The FAA says the Starduster II plane took off from Flying Oaks Airport Monday afternoon in Tarrant County. Shortly after takeoff, it experienced mechanical problems and tried to land in an open field. Authorities say the pilot and a passenger were not hurt seriously.
Hundreds of teachers, students, and parents marched to the Texas Capitol today, pushing for more public school funding and protesting against school vouchers. With signs in hand and cheers from the crowd, they listened as PTA members and state lawmakers spoke. Many at the rally are calling on legislators to tackle not just school funding, but also the teacher shortage and the need for better mental health services for students. Governor Greg Abbott has called for an investigation into the Texas lottery after a large jackpot win in Austin using a courier service.
Lawmakers say it raises concerns about fairness.
A winning $83 million lottery ticket purchased in North Austin triggered the investigation into the Texas lottery. Using a courier service is not illegal in Texas, but Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick posted a video on X where he said courier services could undermine confidence in the lottery and erode trust that no one has an advantage.
The Lottery Commission has failed to uphold any principles it has been charged with protecting.
Today, Texas Senator Bob Hall laid out how he and a bipartisan coalition of senators plan to stop couriers from operating in Texas.
This is a grim and sad day for Texas, and I take no joy in laying out this priority bill, SB 28, to end the ill-conceived Texas lottery courier operations.
Lottery tickets have traditionally only been available to buy in person. The introduction of couriers allowed remote access to the games. Customers can purchase tickets online at a premium. A courier will then go to a brick and mortar store to physically buy the tickets and send photos of the purchase to the customer.
And it opened the door for what is likely the most significant and far-reaching lottery fraud scheme in world history.
The Texas Lottery Commission's executive director said today that he does not believe that couriers are legal under state law. That's a switch from the commission's longtime claim it had no control over the practice. Commissioner Clark Smith resigned last Friday, shortly after the $83 million controversial win, and scrutiny by state lawmakers worried that couriers might be allowing players to potentially game the lottery system. The Texas Lottery Commission is currently under review by the state's Sunset Advisory Commission, which testified today before a House subcommittee.
It became apparent that the then executive director took some actions that created a favorable environment for couriers.
What, you recall what action that might have been?
In terms of saying that that TLC, for starters, that TLC did not have the authority to regulate couriers, ignoring some of the recommendations of his staff, that there were problems with the courier model that needed to be looked at.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, a judge puts a limit on where ICE agents can go for immigration arrests.
Also ahead on the third anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine war, questions remain about the plans for peace.
From heartbreak to hope, a survivor's journey following heart failure.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's fears because, you know, it's not a guarantee. Talked to a guy one day, he's had his heart for over 30 years. That's reassuring.
Shawna Currie brings us their inspiring story as we celebrate Heart Month. Watch Beating the Odds, a 25 News Now Extra.
A federal judge partially blocked the Trump administration's new policy expanding immigration enforcement at some churches and other houses of worship.
Now, this ruling is the first to consider the policy's legality. It's a small win for the religious organizations challenging it in court. The judge's temporary order prevents the administration from enforcing the policy at the places of worship tied to the lawsuit, including Quaker, Baptist, and Sikh congregations. However, the judge stopped short of halting the policy nationwide. Several lawsuits are challenging the policy, but this is the first time a judge has ruled on it.
It's been 3 years since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The day was marked by the UN passing a resolution condemning Russia for the invasion. Ukrainian President Zelensky hosting Western leaders in Kyiv.
And U.S. President Donald Trump hosted France's president to discuss the Russia-Ukraine war. Efforts to broker an end to the war are ramping up. The U.S. is brokering a deal to extract Ukraine's mineral resources, and Zelensky is trying to hold out on agreeing to such a deal.
Ukrainians say it's been a long 3 years.
I feel incredibly tired.
We have undergone a very big transformation.
Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky marked the 3-year anniversary by hosting European leaders at a world memorial in Kyiv. With somber expressions, the leaders placed lanterns to honor the fallen. On X, Zelensky proclaimed his, quote, eternal gratitude to the fallen heroes. He said 3 years of resistance, 3 years of gratitude, 3 years of absolute heroism of Ukrainians. In the U.S., President Donald Trump hosted a world leader of his own.
I think we should never say, I will never send any boots on the ground, because you give a blank check to violate any type of commitment.
France's president met with Trump in the Oval Office and stressed the importance of Trump standing firm against Putin. This as the U.S. joined Russia to vote against the United Nations General Assembly resolution condemning the war against Ukraine, putting the U.S. at odds with its longtime European allies. Just last week, President Trump falsely accused Ukraine of starting the war.
Instead of standing up to Putin, Donald Trump is siding with him and against our own allies. Instead of condemning Putin's lies, Donald Trump is parroting Russian misinformation.
Democrats in Washington condemning the U.S.'s about-face on the Russia-Ukraine war as Ukraine's future hangs in the balance. I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
The General Assembly passed the resolution that places the responsibility for the war on Russia. It received 93 votes in favor. Russia and the United States voted against it.
And then the U.S. doubled down by introducing a different resolution that did not call Russia the aggressor or confirm Ukraine's territorial integrity. Several amendments were made to that resolution, strengthening the language against Russia. Before it was voted on, the U.S. abstained from the vote.
Surging egg prices across the U.S. are starting to hit bakeries. The egg shortage is tied to the highly pathogenic bird flu virus, which infected flocks across the country last year. Some bakeries say they are now paying more than double the price from just a year ago. Other bakeries say they might have to start using so-called egg replacers. Another factor making business tough for bakeries is the sky-high price of cocoa.
If you think you can call this year's Academy Award winners, we'll step into the spotlight and predict the Oscars for your chance to win a gift card bundle from Peter Piper Pizza. Join CrossroadsToday.com to submit your predictions.
Well, good evening, everybody. We're down to 52 degrees right about now. After a beautiful day of abundant sunshine, we managed to get up to 77 degrees. Do you remember that Friday night it was cold and wet and we had some snow flurries? Amazing. This morning's low 37, but it won't be that cold tonight because the Gulf air is rolling back in, and that's also going to give us some fog. We'll talk about that in a moment. Amazing how different our weather is going to be this week. We're looking at springtime all the way through. The next 7 days are going to be in the 70s and upper 70s. Only problem is that tonight we're likely after about midnight we're going to start developing some dense fog. So those of you that drive early in the morning, or if you think you're going to Houston or down 77, it's going to be pea soup, okay, with visibilities less than a quarter mile in some spots. Here we are, of course, this afternoon at midnight. That's how I say it should start to develop, so half-mile visibilities and even less. In fact, as you go down to about 6 a.m., we've got half-mile visibility in Wharton, 3/4 in Ganado, half-mile in Edna, half-mile in Victoria, and down to Refugio. Punchline is, if you can just delay the travel, you'd probably be better off because you're going to be going very slow through here and traffic will be probably slowed down as well. So foggy in the morning and then it burns off about 10 o'clock and the rest of the day should be fairly nice with abundant sunshine. That's going to get our temperatures well into the 70s. Southeast winds now kicking in. The reason is high pressure is rolling that way and now low pressure is developing up to the northwest. This is a fairly significant storm, but it's going to be rolling across the Canadian border. So the tail end of it, this frontal system, will actually make it to our neighborhood, but it won't be much of a front by that time. It'll be just so far away from the actual low. Our average temperature this time of year should be about 71. That's the 30-year average. So you can see we're going to be above normal all the way through the coming weekend. So I don't know. I'm willing to say that that's our last Arctic cold snap. We may have little frontal systems, but nothing like that one. But then again, think about it. This weekend is the beginning of March. So yeah, things are going to be changing and moving along into spring very soon. 49 will be our overnight low temperature. We're in the 50s right now, so we're getting close to that magic point. Otherwise, tomorrow, 75 in the afternoon. Sun, look at that. In almost 90 degrees down along Laredo, where it's going to be much hotter. And the reason for it, they're getting a southwest wind, and that's coming off the landmass, and that's a warm and dry air mass. Now, Future Tracker will show you that very little cloud cover, other than the fog, obviously, will be with us until about Wednesday night and into Thursday. And what happens is that's the tail end of that front that will come through here, give us a little bit of cloud cover, but really the chances for rain with it are almost nil. And so we'll call it hardly anything. Behind it, it does get a little windier and a little drier. So it's, shall we say, just a weak dry line coming through. Tomorrow morning, about 53 and fog in the morning in Port Lavaca, getting up to sunny skies and a high of 72. For those of you in Cuero, you're getting down to about 49. You're going to have the fog too. So, you know, if you don't turn the right place, you might wind up in Gonzales. I don't know. So do watch out. Otherwise, sunny skies for the afternoon and a high of about 74. 7-day forecast looking pretty good. We're going to spring 2.0 as we go with the fog and the afternoon temperatures getting up to the 70s. Here's that little dry line that'll come through, and it's just in time to give us some real nice weather, just in time for the Victoria Livestock Show. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. Toss it over to Max because he's got more basketball.
Yes, I do, Mac. After the break, Tidehaven women's basketball get multiple honors earlier today. I'll tell you who got some of the awards coming up. Sports. All right, good evening here at Crossroads. And again, tomorrow night, we got a big action in women's basketball. The Cuero Lady Gobblers playing in the state semifinals here for the first time in a while versus the Bridge City Cardinals at the Merrill Center in Katy, Texas. This game will start at 6 p.m. The doors are going to open for fans at 5:30 p.m. And heads up for Cuero ISD. They have announced again they're going to release people from school at 12:30 p.m. So it gives you enough time to travel over there to Katy, Texas as well. Again, the Lady Gobblers beat the Navarro Panthers there last week in the regional finals and advanced to the state semifinals here. They'll be tomorrow. Now, earlier today, we had a chance to talk with head coach Amy Crane about how she felt heading into tomorrow's big game.
Man, it's easy for them to be energized and focused because, I mean, they're doing something that no other Lady Gobbler basketball team has done, and they're excited about that. They're very disciplined and they can shoot the basketball. So we're going to have to get a lot of stops, and we're going to have to stop their transition game. They put a lot of pressure on you in the full court and the half court, and so we're going to have to be ready for that and take care of it.
Crane and again the Lady Gobs are hoping they can again stop that top-ranked offense of Bridge City. Again, it's going to be a high offensive showdown tomorrow night at the Merrill Center there in Katy, Texas. Now from one team that's going to be playing tomorrow to a team that got eliminated last week in the regional final versus the Orton Segues. The Tidehaven Tigerettes, though, announced their district awards there to everyone there, and all their team made the academic all-district awards and some individual awards. Mary Johnson winning district MVP. The defensive player of the year going to #1, Naomi Alameda. Newcomer of the year going to Adrian Abotes. First team all-district there to Ava Esquivel and Makai Reddick. And second team all-district going to Fair Sears Dove, Sophie Garcia. And honorable mention there to Callie Claxton. So congrats to everyone that got awards there for Titan and on a great season there as well. Now over to UHV men's and women's golf as they play day one of the Claude Jacobs Invitational. And again, for UHV4, they sit in third heading into today's final round there on the men's side. Again, second place, they're behind Texas A&M San Antonio by 5 strokes, and also the 2024 NAIA runner-up there in Texas Wesleyan. One guy that really showed up there is Paul Chopin, who is in 12th place right now. He's 3 over par, so see if he can do well there in tomorrow's contest. And again, other players as well that stepped up. Women's golf team is tied there in third after their opening round. They scored 330, and both Emily Bickelman and Natalie Pate tied for 10th after shooting a 79 in their opening round. Over to women's soccer where the Bay City Lady Cats faced over Rice Consolidated at home, and they won easily in this game, 12-1. Peyton Benavides, Summer Howard, and Caitlin Stay got all scored for Bay City in this game. They now improved to 9-0-1 in district, and their next opponent will be on Friday against Columbus. See if they can keep that rolling going into that one. And then finally tonight, Cuero men's baseball faced the Industrial Cobras at home. This game did not go well for the Gobblers. They lost this game 20-1. Industrial poured all the runs there from, again, the first and second inning, and it was just too much for Cuero to handle. Now for Cuero, they're going to have to rebound because they host a tournament there at home. Their first game will be against LaGrange there this Thursday. That's going to do it here in sports. Don and Shawna, back to you.
But you missed the score.
Oh, that is right, Don. I forgot about your Houston Cougars. What is 68-61? How could I forget about that, Don? How about that? Houston, what a big-time win, right? Couple more games left until we get to tournament play. You excited, Don, or what are we thinking right now?
I'm still in February, so it's not time for March Madness yet. I'm pacing myself, but it's looking good. It's looking good. Thank you, Max. Let's stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, a stunning sight as a gator on a mission and a turtle caught in the middle stopped traffic.
Watch tonight before our department is eliminated.
My daughter Lila is very tough, and she'll say something, you know, she's sweet, but she'll say something like, "I'll cut your eyeballs out."
So why did the alligator cross the road? Well, it certainly was not just to help this turtle get to the other side. I don't know if you can see there, he's got a little turtle in his mouth. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service shared video of the moment a gator stopped traffic at a Florida wildlife refuge, showing the reptile walking across the street while latching onto a turtle in its teeth. And while some online have joked about how helpful this gator was being, adult alligators are known to eat turtles along with other fish, snakes, small mammals, and birds. So not sure if he was helping or just taking it home for dinner, but you know.
Yeah. Dessert. Our golden girl. The U.S. Postal Service will soon honor a legendary entertainer with her own stamp. Betty White died more than 3 years ago, just weeks shy of her 100th birthday. The Postal Service will release a stamp next month honoring the late actress and comedian. The Betty White tribute will be a new forever stamp. These stamps never expire and currently sell for 73 cents a stamp. Whoa. The Postal Service will host a special event March 27th to unveil the new stamp at the Los Angeles Zoo and Botanical Gardens, where White was a trustee, benefactor, and volunteer. White was a staunch animal rights activist. Anybody who knew Betty White's career, she was totally into it. She had a TV show for a while. That,
on animals?
On animals, yeah.
Like Bob Barker was big in that.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
They might have been together on some of these programs.
Probably, yeah.
Well, folks, our weather is spring-like all the way through the week. Next 7 days in the 70s. Sounds pretty good. Tomorrow we'll have a little fog early, but then it'll burn off and we'll have afternoon sun. And the weekend's going to be spectacular just in time for the livestock show, which is, of course, down at the, what do we call it?
Community Center.
No, it's the round building. That's the one.
That's the dome at the Community Center, yes. On another note, though, I remember when the Forever stamps were like 43 cents or 42 cents, something like that. Now, yeah.
That was forever ago.
Yes, I guess it was. Doesn't seem like it. Well, Chocoholics, it's time for a snack. February 25th, that's tomorrow, is National Chocolate Covered Nut Day. Melting chocolate over nuts became mainstream in 1925 with the Goobers candy. So that's how it became popular. Back then, the word goober was slang for peanut. Today, M&M peanuts are probably the best known candies of this type. Those came out in 1954 and got the colorful shells in 1960. So indulge. Chocolate covered almonds are the best. Well, thanks for joining us.
25 News Now Sunrise, 5 a.m. Jimmy Kimmel Live starts now.